they're not taking Trump's victory well at all. This was an article published today in The Guardian, an opinion piece by Carol Cadwalla, or however that's pronounced. And as you can see, she thinks that essentially the regime from V for Vendetta has taken over. And I'm not even joking when I say that. By the way, I do still have snot all over me. My daughter is still sick. She's still got unbelievable sort of snot strings on her face. When I pick her up, she realizes that she can use me as a giant tissue. And I have once again forgotten to change my shirt. Anyway, moving on. This is just the most amazing thing. Because what this does is give you an insight into their mindset. Because I'm not expecting Donald Trump to actually persecute anyone. I don't think any journalists are going to jail for all of the lies that they tell or anything like that, because I think that Donald Trump will say, well, it's the First Amendment. I'm concentrating on making America great. I'm going to make sure that things go well, that the country is well governed, that government is scaled back, that I suppose tariffs is something that's going to be put on against foreign competitors, but the regulations are going to be scaled back. Hopefully, taxes will be lowered. Business will flow even better than before, like it did under his first term. That's going to be the focus of his administration. And of course, securing the border and deporting millions of illegals. Carol thinks that essentially what Donald Trump is going to do is destroy the HR oligopoly of the United States. The women in charge think that they're going to get literally V for Vendetta'd by Trump's government. And it's just not, it's not going to happen. You are delusional. Let's have a quick look at exactly how delusional they are. Right. So number one, when someone tells you who they are, believe them. Donald Trump appointed a director of intelligence who spouts Russian propaganda. Right. That's Tulsi Gabbard. Hillary Clinton intimated that she might be a Russian asset, and they've been running with it. Obviously, there's no reason to think this. There's no proof of this. There's no suggestion that she's done anything with Russia, except that Hillary Clinton implied it. And so, well, there we go. She's a Russian asset. Spouts Russian propaganda. Why? Because Hillary Clinton's totally in favour of war. Tulsi Gabbard is not in favour of war. So, there we go. A Christian nationalist crusader as Secretary of Defense. Superb. And a Secretary of Health who is a vaccine skeptic. And, I mean, among other things, he's like, look, maybe we don't need to put all these weird chemicals in the food, so our food isn't poison. More like actually what European food is like. It doesn't have to be poisonous, by the way. So if Trump is seeking to destroy American democracy, the American state and American values, I don't think he's trying to do that, actually. I think what he thinks he's doing is saving America. But this is how he'd do it. So basically we have a vastly divergent definition of what American democracy, the American state and American values are with Carol. On this side, on the right wing, we think, well, that means negative liberty, that means freedom of association, that means property ownership. And she's like, hell no. What that means is you do as you say, you do as we tell you, you pay unbelievable amounts of tax for redistributive purposes, and you literally are going to thank us for the privilege because you are privileged, and those people who are committing all those crimes, they're underprivileged, and they're the ones who the Republic should serve. I completely disagree with that. I think that those people are scum, they should be punished, and the law-abiding tax-paying citizens should be given preferential treatment by the state because they are the ones who uphold it. Sorry, it's just the way it is. Journalists are first, but everyone else is next. Journalists are first. I mean, like, be still, my beating heart. But Trump has announced multi-billion-dollar lawsuits against the enemy camp. Well, what's wrong with lawsuits? Lawsuits are people making the law work for them. As in, the journalists have broken the law, perhaps by spreading falsehoods about people, libel, perhaps slander, perhaps simply outright making things up. Who knows? But why should journalists be immune to the laws that govern the rest of us, Carol? That's the question that really has to be asked here. To name is to understand. This is McMuskism. It's McCarthyism on steroids. Superb. What she's complaining about is they're going to identify communists in all of the institutions and just fire them. So loads of bureaucrats are going to get fired for being communists, and they're freaking out about it. It's like, no, sorry. Don't get me wrong, right? If all the bureaucrats staffing American institutions were Nazis, and we're all reading Mein Kampf, and they all had like Hitler posters on their walls. And Trump took over and was like, wow, there are loads of Nazis in these institutions. I'm going to fire them. You'd be on side with that. And to be honest, I'd be on side with that. It is okay to fire those people who are not representatives of the ideology of Americanism. That's totally fine. It's totally normal. It is, in fact, in America, desirable. If that sounds scary, it's because that's the plan. The Trump administration will be incompetent and reckless. There's no reason to think that Trump's second administration is going to be incompetent, actually. Trump himself obviously has 4 years' experience of governing, which is 4 years more than most people. And if you look at the people he has around them, they're all wildly successful in their chosen fields. Actually, they seem to be people with direct experience of how to do the jobs, and at least some kind of institutional experience in the realm that they're going to be governing. So, sorry, no, I actually think Trump's second administration is looking quite competent. I'm quite looking forward to it. Individuals will be targeted, institutions will cower, organizations will crumble fast. The chilling will be really immediate. Yeah, well, that means they're going to be brought back into line, right? They're going to be doing what they actually ought to be doing. I mean, I'm looking at you FBI, right? Looking at you CIA, looking at you Department of Justice, looking at you Internal Revenue Service that was thinking about investigating various Republicans. All of these politicized institutions, yeah, they're going to be brought back into line. That's how it's going to work. The HR tyranny that had taken over America, that's going to be wound in. That's the plan. Correct. Number 5, you have more power than you think. We're supposed to feel powerless. That's the strategy, but we're not. If you're a US institutional organization, no one is. If you're a member of an institution, form an emergency committee. This is, again, the first place they go to, well, there's got to be a committee that tells everyone how to live their lives. It's like they're just totally anti-freedom. It really is the HRification of the entire nation. That's what the problem with this is. Bring in experts. Oh, brilliant. Brilliant. The experts brought you to this place. What use are they? Learn from people who have lived under authoritarianism. Trump is not, I don't think, going to violate the Constitution. Now, this could age very badly, but I genuinely think that Trump is just going to govern like he did before, just effectively this time, with an eye to knowing who the obstacle to getting the job done is going to be. I don't think he's going to be, I don't know, sending the allies of their political enemies to jail. Like, I mean, Steve Bannon literally just got out of jail. Like, the Jan 6 protesters are still in jail. Like, I don't think he's going to do that. But that's what you're worried about him doing, because that's what you did. Your faction, your movement did when you gained power. And number 6, do not kiss the ring. Do not bend to power. Power will come to you anyway. Don't make it easy. Not everyone can stand a fight, but nobody needs to bend the knee until there's an actual memo to that effect. Wait for the memo. You are actually expecting a little committee to give orders to the entire sort of left-wing movement. Don't do anything. Don't just accept their terms. Wait for a memo. It just speaks volumes about the kinds of people that we're dealing with. Like, these people are mental. 7, know who you are. This is a homage to Yale historian Timothy Snyder. His On Tyranny, published in 2017, his first command is, don't obey in advance. Okay. Just obey when they tell you you've got to do something, because that'll be your job, and you will be expected and obligated to do that. Right, okay, great. Brilliant. Number 8, and this is great. Protect your private life. Oh, really? Oh, really? Suddenly they're worried about personal data. Suddenly they're worried about personal privacy. Suddenly they're worried that the government will have too much power. Well, maybe if you hadn't spent the last couple of decades investing the government with all of this extraneous unconstitutional power and the ability to spy on every aspect of human existence, this wouldn't have been such a problem. But now suddenly this is where we are, and you're like, well, I mean, I never agreed to this. No, you did. You totally consented to this. Right? Again, this surveillance authoritarianism is next. Oh yeah? You think that Donald Trump's going to be like, well, I need Carol Cadwala's data. I need to see her WhatsApp information. Act as if you're living in East Germany and Meta, Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp is the Stasi. It is. East Germany was a left-wing project, just so you know. You were an extreme left-winger. Politically, there's going to be a very, very thin sliver of light between what Carol believes and what the people running East Germany believed. Just FYI. But you're not going to get persecuted by the Trump administration. I just don't believe it's going to happen. You are mental, right? Number 9, throw up the Kool-Aid. You drank it, that's okay. But now it's time to stick your fingers down your throat and get that sick tech bro poison out of your system. That's right. So, Elon Musk producing Teslas to help the environment. No, that's bad. Blech, get that out of your system. What are we going to do? Turn to gas guzzlers. Phones still are a magic portal into a psychedelic funhouse of possibility. They're also tracking and surveilling you even as you sleep while Silicon Valley edgelord plots a way to tear up the federal government. Okay, you're not in Hamas, right? You're not a member of ISIS. It doesn't matter if Donald Trump knows your location, Carol. He's not gonna send the MAGA stormtroopers to arrest you in the night, V for Vendetta style. I hate to tell you this, because you're obviously living out a very exciting fantasy, but that's not gonna happen. Number 10, and this is, listen to women of colour. Oh yeah, I forgot to do that. Good point. Everything bad that happened on the internet happened to them first. Why are they the canary in the coal mine? The history of technology. As far as she's concerned, she's about to be persecuted by a fascist government, but she does still have time to virtue signal her progressive credentials. Oh yeah, also I listen to women of colour, by the way. There is that too. Also, we're about to get killed by Nazi Hitler Führer, Übergrippenstormer Donald Trump. Just come on. The history of technology is that it only when it affects white men that it's considered a problem, which is why white men invented all of those appliances for women to make their lives easier. Look at how technology is already used to profile and target immigrants. Know that you're next. Winding up the paranoia. That's the thing I find most amusing about this. Winding it up. I mean, yeah, Carol, yeah, he's coming for you. You're probably going to get set to Gitmo. What are you going to do? Just before you do anything crazy, he ain't going to do that. You are mental, right? Number 11. Think of your personal data as nude selfies. Why wasn't this a problem when the Democrats were in charge? Why was them not harvesting your data without your permission, without giving you anything in return for it? Why wasn't that a problem? Steve Bannon has been raising this issue for a while, and there's a really firm case that companies ought to pay you for the data that they harvest from you. Now, sure, on an individual level, it might not be that much, but you might be entitled to something, and why not? Why not? That's your property they've taken from you. It's quite esoteric and difficult to quantify, but it is still yours. So why exactly is it now just a problem? Well, because the orange dictator is in charge. That's why. Don't buy the bullshit. A Security and Exchange judgment found that Facebook had lied to 2 journalists. One of them was me. Oh, wow. And what about journalists who have lied to everyone else? Just having, I mean, there's a great example of journalists lying here, right? So this is from a New York Times article whining about RFK, when they're like, Kennedy singled out Fruit Loops as an example of a product with too many artificial ingredients, questioning why the Canadian version has fewer than the US version. But he was wrong. Oh, okay, well, there we go. So the Canadian version doesn't have fewer ingredients than the US version. The ingredients list is roughly the same. Oh, right, so it is different. So he's not wrong. So go on. Though Canada's has natural colourings made from blueberries and carrots, sure, I'm happy to eat blueberries and carrots, while the US product contains red dye 40, yellow 5 and blue 1, as well as butylated hydro... I don't know what that is, but they say it's a lab-made chemical that's used for freshness. Right. So he's not wrong. American food is full of weird artificial chemicals that have been made in labs that aren't present in everyone else's food. And every time I go to America, I end up putting on loads of goddamn weight. It's like American food genuinely is a poison, and everyone knows it. And RFK is like, hey guys, maybe this isn't good. And all journalists can do is lie about it. But by the way, they're going to lie to the journalists. So, well, it's just liars and liars and liars all the way down then, isn't it? Even dickheads love their dogs. Find a way to connect to those you disagree with. The obvious mistakes of those who find themselves in the opposition are to break off relations with those who disagree with you. No, that's only left-wingers that do this, right? Right-wingers do not do this because relationships are important. It's incredible how you've arrived at that point where it's like, no, we actually need to speak to the people we love because they're our families, even if we disagree with them, right? Good for you. And again, This is amazing. Paying cash. Why wasn't this a problem 5 minutes ago? Like, there is a real concern with centralized currencies, centralized digital currencies being operated by a handful of companies that can turn off a person's ability to even transact, right? There's a real issue with that, but it didn't bother you while you thought the left was in charge. As soon as you think the right's in charge, well, hang on a second, we need to worry about cash, right? Just incredible. Remember that if they try to normalize, let us try to denormalize. Let us hold on to facts, truths, values, norms, arrangements that are going to be under siege. Let's not forget what happened and why. They're so unbelievably melodramatic. Like, this is not going to be nearly as exciting as their fan fiction here is making out. Find allies in unlikely places, number 16. One of my most surprising sources of support during my trials was hard-right Brexiteer David Davis, who probably supports Trump. 17. There is such a thing as truth. Yes. For example, if I say 2 + 2 = 4, nobody on the right disagrees with that because they consider that a definitional truth. However, lots of people on the left disagree with that because they're postmodern idiots who think that the idea of an objective standard is actually something that's subjective to a certain wing of politics, even if it can be proven. What are you going to do? Plan. Silicon Valley doesn't think in 4-year election cycles. Elon Musk isn't worrying about the midterms. He's thinking about flying a SpaceX rocket to Mars and raping and pillaging its rare earth minerals before anyone else can get there. What is your problem with that? Right? Okay. A couple of things. Is it a rare earth mineral if it's not on Earth? Let's just assume that that's a term that I don't understand and that it just means that it's unlikely to form in the Earth's crust and therefore any crust will do, blah, 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 right? Raping and pillaging its rare earth minerals. The rare earth minerals aren't like some like attractive young woman on Mars, right? It's just barren rock, right? I've got no interest in going to Mars. It's just a barren rock. But if they want to send up mining equipment and mine out these minerals so we can have a prosperous life here on Earth and maybe set up a colony on Mars and then explore the rest of the solar system, why not? What are you saving them for if not humanity's use? What is your problem? What is wrong with you? Honestly. Number 19. Take the piss. Humor as a weapon. Well, the problem with that is that you would have to have a sense of humor to be able to wield it. Any man who feels the need to build a rocket is not overconfident about his masculinity. Work with that. How many children does Elon have at this point? Like, once you reach a certain number of children, like, the idea that your masculinity can be questioned, it kind of is off the table. Like, no, it's way too late for that. And what is it about going to another planet that upsets Carol so much? The raping and pillaging the rare earth minerals. It's fine. It's fine. We're just going to go to another planet. And I mean, would you have said in the 15th, 16th century, would she have been some harridan in a wimple being like, well, anyone who wants to go and try and find a new world over the oceans must be underconfident in their masculinity? Like, that's not what anyone thinks. It's going to be quite a heroic endeavour to go to Mars and mine stuff, dig stuff up, set up a colony. Again, I don't know what's wrong with you people. And number 20, they are not gods. No kidding. Then why do you make them sound so amazing? You make them sound way more impressive than they are. And don't get me wrong, they are all impressive guys, actually, and gals. But, like, tech billionaires are over-entitled nerds. All right, so we've narrowed this down to just, it's the tech billionaires that are the problem. With the extraordinary historical luck of being born at the exact right moment in history, treat them accordingly. Well, I mean, they have also accomplished all of these things that you didn't accomplish. The most you managed to accomplish is being an opinion writer at The Guardian, which is hardly a very difficult thing, if this article is anything to go by.